Good morning. I'd like to call the September 3rd, 2019 meeting of the Scott County Board of Commissioners to order. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We do have an amendment to the agenda. The agenda has been published and is available at the doors, but we do have one amendment. Colleagues, I think 7.1 has just been amended to change a word from levy to bond, which is an important change.
Madam Chair, I would approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The minutes from the August 20th, 2019 board meeting have been distributed. Does anyone have corrections or additions to the minutes?
Madam Chair, I'll move the minutes as they were presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the August 20th, 2019 county board meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next, we're on to the part of our agenda where we recognize interested citizens. If you're here to talk to the board about a matter that's not on the agenda, please approach the podium and state your name and address, limited to 5 minutes per person or subject. None today. Well, thank you. On to one of my favorite parts of the agenda, new employee introduction. We had a nice, lively group of new employees here this morning. Commissioner Beer and I just welcomed them and learned a little bit about what they're going to be doing here at Scott County. At this time, I'd ask you to approach the podium and introduce yourselves to the board and to the viewing public.
Good morning. I'm Nate Rash. Very happy to be here. I'm the new data privacy coordinator. Coming by way of 20 years in the United States Air Force. I just retired in September and then did a year in the private sector at a large firm in downtown Minneapolis.
Welcome. Thank you.
My name is Miranda Barker. I am a new child protection social worker. I was working in the nonprofit world before this as an adoption social worker and a pregnancy counselor and foster care adoption. And I just got my master's in social work, and I'm really excited to be at Scott County. Thank you.
We're excited you're here. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Blanca Guzman and I work with the library operations. So driving the Readmobile, and then part of my other job is working on public health with SHIP. I graduated from Augsburg University a year ago, so I'm really excited for this job.
Great.
And I live here in Shakopee too, so I live really close.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patty Heil. I'm going to be working in public health here at Scott County. I've been a nurse for quite a few years, and I'm looking forward to being here. I've done public health a little bit before in a city setting, but looking forward to being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shauna Christensen. I'm going to be working I have been working the last 3 months in Health and Human Services in the mental health clinic as an admin. I live in Prior Lake in Credit River Township. With Tom, yeah. Previously, I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple years. Before that, I worked in the body industry, auto body industry, as an admin as well. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Cave. I'm the new admin with the Transportation Services down in Jordan. Previously, I was with Canterbury Park for 15 years over there.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Monica Molnarska. I'm a new transportation planner down in Public Works. I'm from Arizona. It's my first winter here, so wish me luck.
It hasn't started.
You'll love it.
Good morning. My name is Asha Ahmed. I am going to be doing mental health therapy at Shakopee High. Prior to this, I've been doing therapy for a couple of years and also done case management for Ramsey.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm really excited to be here, by the way.
Welcome. Good.
Good morning. My name is Tony Zappa. I am the new building inspector. My background, I have a little bit of engineering background. I grew up going to city council meetings and watching them for fun. So I knew I wanted to, yeah. I was always interested in the process. I knew I wanted to get into the public sector and just kind of give back to the community. I got into more creative pursuits, managing Franconia Sculpture Park, which was a lot of facilities and land management, building new public facilities out there. And then wanted to, again, get into the public sector, and inspection really kind of called to me. Being able to get out and help the community build their dreams was a nice thing.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. I invited him to come to 3 township meetings with me tonight. No, I'm just kidding.
Can I ask, Tony, how long have you been here so far?
This is my second week.
Oh, second week.
Yes.
Have you been out in the field yet?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good.
And he's still smiling?
Yeah.
Still here?
Thank you and welcome. And I, just to reiterate what Commissioner Beer and I said earlier, is we sure thank you for choosing public service, for choosing Scott County. And we all of us up here acknowledge that it's the employees who do the hard work and deliver the services to the citizens. And we really value everything you do. So thank you, welcome, and don't be strangers. On to item 6 of our agenda, which is the consent agenda. These are items that have been previously workshopped, discussed, often actions taken at advisory councils. I'll be reading the 10 items on the consent agenda, and if any board member wants to pull one for further discussion, we will do that. Otherwise, they will pass as one motion. Item 6.1, to adopt resolution number 2019-122, authorizing entering into a grant agreement with the Minnesota Department of Veterans Affairs for an operational enhancement grant. Item 6.2, to adopt resolution number 2019-124, approving the execution of a grant agreement regarding a residential mental health treatment facility in the city of Savage and taking other actions in connection therewith. Item 6.3, adopt resolution number 2019-126, approving the pledge of the general obligation of Scott County, Minnesota to the payment of the Governmental Development Refunding Bond Series 2019B to be issued by the Scott County Community Development Agency, approving the pledge of the special benefits tax to the payment of such bonds, and authorizing the execution and delivery of documents in connection therewith. Item 6.4, to adopt resolution number 2019-127, approving the preliminary 2020 budget and levy of $34,000 for the Scott County Vermilion River Watershed Special Taxing District. Item 6.5, to adopt resolution number 2019-128, authorizing the Scott County engineer to request the Minnesota Department of Transportation state aid for local transportation transfer of $140,945.50 from the county's municipal state aid construction account to its regular state aid construction account. Item 6.6, to adopt resolution number 2019-130, authorizing an amendment to agreement number 1031080 with the State of Minnesota Department of Transportation for work on Trunk Highway 13 included in the County Highway 21 and Trunk Highway 13 reconstruction project located in the city of Prior Lake. Item 6.7, to approve estimate of just compensation by a minimum compensation study and market value appraisals for new right-of-way for the reconstruction of County Highway 27 from County Highway 21 to County Highway 44 in Credit River Township. 6.8, to approve addendum to the Memorandum of Understanding for Network and Resource Sharing with Jaguar Communications Incorporated. Item 6.9, to approve the appointment of Kevin Shea of Commissioner District 2 to the Scott Watershed Management Organization Planning Commission. And item 6.10, to approve payroll processing of personnel actions. Those are the 10 items on the consent agenda. Are there any that need to be pulled for further discussion or a different action?
Madam Chair, I'd move approval of the 10 items on consent.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 10 items on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. On to item 7.1, which is to adopt resolution number 2019-129. We have Patty Freeman presenting, and please note that this is the item where we have an amended information packet.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm happy to be here to address the Cleary Building Construction Award of Contract on the agenda. And is this this is still not working here? Okay, got it. A little bit of background before we dive into the agenda item. This is the Cleary Construction Project is a cooperative project with our regional park operating partner, Three Rivers Park District. This is, you know, a really significant project for the operation, but it certainly is also a significant project for our partnership. We have a project team and an executive team, and it's consisting of members of both agencies. And the board will probably remember that we've really been reviewing and dialoguing on this for multiple years, I think going on 3 years now. So really establishing the need, talking about different solutions, all the way to today, where we're hopefully awarding a contract. And certainly the board has had many opportunities in workshop and meetings, and then also at our annual joint board meetings with Park District for this to be reviewed. Here's the list of executive team and project team members. I wanted to just quickly put that up on the screen for folks to see. We do have, I forgot to mention, we have Jason Zemke here, our project manager, and Jason is available as we go through the presentation to address any technical questions that I can't address. And then I also wanted to mention that we have another project team member here, Doug Behrens, the Director of Maintenance for the Park District. Doug, can you raise your hand? Are there any other team members that decided to make the trip? No, it doesn't look like it. I'll take a couple more minutes just to kind of revisit some of the history of this. So funding, how are we addressing the funding on this project? We have the bulk of the funding coming from our park and trail, our legacy allocations from the Parks and Trails Amendment, and then a contribution from the Park District in Scott County. And here's where I've identified that as bonding dollars, not levy dollars, which was a mistake in the memo. The project need, the primary operation has, for our regional park and trail system in Scott County, is really housed in Cleary Lake Regional Park out of a farmstead. So residential building. We inherited that building when the county and the Park District acquired that property with federal and state grants back in the 70s. So this little farmhouse and a few outbuildings, we've got a lot of utilization out of it over the last 45 to 50 years. But really, you know, about 10 years ago, really we were stretching at the seams. The building was starting to deteriorate. And today we're looking at, it's really no longer effective for a staffing, storage needs, supply needs, equipment, and that sort of thing. And thus, here we are today talking about constructing a new building. Here's a rendering of what the building will look like in concept. The project team worked with Ortel Architects to design a facility that'll be about 8,800 square feet, adequate space to address the items that I identified as needed before, just basic space for staffing, equipment, storage, that sort of thing, and vehicle maintenance, some minor vehicle maintenance. We advertised for bids for the construction project in mid-August, and we received bids from 6 different construction companies, with the lowest responsible bid being submitted by Clar Dig in the amount of $1,979,000. The base bid was about $190,000 over our engineer's estimate. The project team and the executive team looked at various options to address that gap in the estimate and our available funding. Ultimately, we decided to accept a number of alternates. We had a mixture of add and deduct alternates, so we accepted numbers 1, 3, and 4. We're rejecting 2, 5, and 6. And in doing so, we have a total construction contract of $1,979,820, and we're recommending to establish a 5% contingency of $98,000. The engineering and other project costs have remained the same based on the last 6 months of our estimates. And that brings us to a revised total project budget of $2,401,000, or $401,039. And that leaves us with about $117,000 gap between our approved project budget and our available funding. As I mentioned, the project and the executive teams met and went through a few different exercises to look at how we could close that gap. With the rejected and accepted alternates, we were able to close that gap down to about that $117,000. And then we evaluated, are there different funding options that really can get us the project that we need at this time and have it be effective once it's built. And we are proposing that we look to the partnership fund balance that's held at the Park District that really was designed to accommodate this type of contingency need. The policy team, which consists of 2 members of the Scott County Board, 2 members of the Park District Board, did review the use of the fund balance if this situation arose on this project. And there was consensus on that team that that would be an appropriate source of funding if we decided that we needed to close a funding gap. And that brings us here today. That's the team recommendation that we utilize that funding to fill our $117,000 gap. So in conclusion, we are asking the board to consider awarding the construction contract today to Clardig, and to also amend the project budget in the amount of $117,000 and utilizing the Three Rivers Park District Partnership Fund balance. And I would be happy to address any questions you have, and as I mentioned, Jason and Doug are both here to answer questions.
Commissioner Ulrich.
Yeah, Patty, I just have a couple of questions. In regard to the alternates that are being rejected, kind of wondering about 5 and 6, and more specifically, I guess 6, or more significantly about alternate 6, which is the roof. It says here that it would be cheaper up front, but a higher cost long term. I'm wondering, why do you use more fund balance to do the roof? I mean, tell me about that.
Sure, so we actually are doing, so we are rejecting that it's a deduct. So we are doing the roofing material that would give us the longer term life, Commissioner.
It says deduct here. Am I looking at this wrong?
Yeah, and it's a little bit confusing. So the second set of bullets are the items that we rejected. So it's kind of confusing. We rejected that's going to be a deduction. So we are doing Jason, do you want to? Yeah.
We're doing the metal roof.
The base bid includes the metal roof. Thank you, Leslie. Does that make sense?
You're rejecting the deductions.
Yes.
Those are 3 possible deductions that you explored, and you're rejecting all 3 of those deductions.
Exactly.
Well, that seems odd.
No,
'cause
that's
the first,
not true,
Oh, that's
Commissioner.
not true.
We are deducting for alternate number 3, which was the siding. So some of the alternates were additions to the project, some were deductions to the project, and we had them bid each. So we're accepting alternate 1,
Right.
which is adding 17,000. We're rejecting or accepting alternate number 3, which is the deduction for the siding, but we're adding on alternate number 4, which is $22,000. Then the following alternates was number 2, we're not adding the additional 27,000. And on alternates 5 and 6, we're not deducting those amounts of money, we're including those in the bid. Those were alternates to deduct from the bid.
well, that's good news.
I think we're doing what you want.
A little confusing the
I
way
know,
it's worded.
yes, yeah. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, isn't there a more confusing way to write that? So that we
There
can-
might be.
We'll work on that for next time.
All right, stay tuned.
Other questions or comments for Patty?
Madam Chair, I will make a motion to adopt Resolution 2019-129 in all of its clarity, awarding the contract to Clardig Construction for the construction of the Clear Lake Regional Park Maintenance Building, and amending the budget for Parks Improvement Program to pay for it.
Second.
So moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 2019-129. Further discussion on this matter? Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. We're not able to open the public hearing until 9:30, so we're going to skip item 7.2 for a few minutes as our friends come in, and we're going to move on to committee reports and commissioner updates. Commissioner Wolf, would you give your report?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. On the 20th, I had a meeting at Spring Lake Town Hall with the water folks and some residents on McMahon Lake. We had voted to start draining that, but there's a few things that have kind of gotten in the way since then, but they hopefully will start pumping on towards the end of September after some construction out there. On the 26th, the WMO meeting, Watershed Water Management Organization. After that, I was out visiting a constituent who has a water problem, and I can't believe this can happen, where if you have a ditch and one neighbor doesn't like the water running on his land, they can actually plug it up and just put sand or whatever they want. And so we're working through that program. On the 27th, the Carver County meeting we had, I thought that was very, very good. On the 28th, the Metropolitan Mosquito Control District. And actually, things are going pretty good. Not very, Commissioner Good, you were there, you can comment too, but the number of La Crosse and West Nile, everything's down this year. And I actually haven't been seeing as many mosquitoes this year, so. And then that evening, we went on the river tour on a nice little boat down from Savage Ports down to St. Paul. They gave us a nice history of what's going on with the river and, you know, how they're trying to clean it up. A lot of dirt and sediment in the river yet, and, you know, a couple of us saw that firsthand, and I can't remember how much they said when we moved, like a minute or 3 minutes, and they said, we just passed by 3 truckloads of sediment, you know, that in the water. It's like, wow, there's a lot of sediment. So that all somehow settles in the river, and they have to dredge it out, and so that the boats can keep going down. So, and then on Friday, I had a meeting with some residents of Spring Lake Township. They are worried about the new development and the boat slips that are possibly going to be going into over at Spring Lake, at the lake there, and so they just wanted to get some clarity of what's going on there. I had my monthly meeting with Leslie Vermillion after that, the administrator, and after that I had a couple of things with planning and zoning. That was that week, and then that, I believe, is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Beer.
Thanks. Must be the time to talk with folks about water issues.
Yeah.
I too had several conversations and meetings with folks regarding water and drainage, and that was in the dry time of the month. But I love those kinds of conversations and meeting with folks firsthand, so I'm glad they reached out. 27th was chair, vice chair meeting, followed by, I think it was mentioned, the joint Scott Carver workshop, which was great timing because we had the gal from Lower Min there giving us a little bit of an update, and then the next day on the 28th was that same river tour, as mentioned, the Lower Min River Tour. And yeah, you can't look at the river the same way, especially the stretch that we have, the way that the water does kind of quiet and sediment is allowed to drop out. It was very, very informative, and it was great weather. It was a great tour. It was very, very educational. But yeah, it's funny, you can't look at the same thing the same way after that. And this morning had a new employee welcome meeting, and that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Beard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the 27th, I also attended a joint workshop with Carver County Board. It seems that we were the much more industrious and talkative board than theirs. They were a little quiet. Maybe they were still, well, I just noticed they were a little quiet. It was good to be there with them, though. Let's see, on the 28th, I had breakfast with the county administrator, my monthly meeting. I really appreciate those catch-up times. Then sped off to St. Paul to attend the mosquito control district, where we had a presentation on drone technology and some of the new, I mean, these aren't little drones the size of your laptop that, you know, peek in windows and take cool pictures from 400 feet. These are drones with 50 to 70 pound payloads that are going to be flying into, in fact, they already have been, flying into hard to reach locations where there's wetlands or swamps that they need to treat for mosquitoes and things like that. It was pretty interesting technology that it promises to expand the reach and effectiveness without increasing the budget. Speaking of which, we did increase the levy, or we're proposing to increase it by 1% this year. Doing a pretty effective job. In spite of the rain, it turns out we've actually had less major rain events this year than last year, so we've saved a little money on application and treatment. Just related to that, I just read a news article yesterday about the resurgence of diseases that had been almost eradicated in Venezuela. And one of the things they laid that to was the fact that back in the last 30 years, the Venezuelan government had created a pretty significant mosquito control program, particularly in the ghettos and the barrios around the major cities. For the last 5 or 6 years, that has gone dormant. And the only people who get mosquito treatment now are people who pay in American dollars and pay a lot of them. And as a result, we're seeing things like malaria and dengue fever and things like that are in resurgence in a country where it had been virtually eradicated. And so I thought of our own mosquito control district and thought, thank goodness for the good work they do. It's 17, 18 million a year we spend in the entire metro area, and I think it's money well spent. Also on the 28th, participated in the Minnesota River Tour that other commissioners have spoken with, a very worthwhile event and a very important, not only ecological, environmental feature in our valley, but one that has a huge impact economically across the entire western quarter of the state of Minnesota. That's right here in our front yard. On the 29th, I had breakfast with a constituent concerning 169 restriping and what the heck are they doing, and he and his wife both drive it every day, and I could feel their pain because I'm fortunate I don't have to drive it unless I want to. And believe me, I don't want to, but here's just, and I'm a roads and bridges guy, I'm just gonna make a political statement. For years, everyone has said you can't pave your way out of congestion. Well, all I say is point at the Bloomington Ferry Bridge and say, look what adding one lane did for all of our constituents all summer long. We virtually eliminated the congestion or greatly minimized it by the judicious application of a little asphalt and some paint. And when we took it away, it's back to business as usual. Stop and go traffic now starts in front of Home Depot by my house. And I felt badly for him, but the good news was he's a bright young fellow, going to live here a long time, and was asking how he could get involved in civic affairs. So it was nice to buy this young man breakfast and listen to him talk. So, Madam Chair, that's my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Ulrich.
On the 21st, I attended the Transportation Advisory Board. There's a problematic item there. They want to add a BRT category to the solicitation that would use $25 to $31 million a year, or not every year, but every 2 years. And that's, the concern is that that would gobble up quite a bit of the solicitation, so we're working through that. That's very troubling. On the 22nd, I attended a meeting with the Savage Mayor and City and County Administrator. The long-awaited stoplight at Connolly Parkway is going in.
Woo-hoo.
Gonna go in. So that was good news to
A
hear.
real one or the temporary one?
No, a real one.
All right.
Attended the Fish Board meeting later that day. On the 25th, I led jail and church services in Scott County. 26th, attended the Scale Unified Transit Management Plan. And the 27th, the joint meeting with Carver County. And the 28th, instead of going on the river tour, I had to attend the Minnesota Valley Transit Authority board meeting. That's a responsibility. I would have loved to go on the tour, and it's kind of funny. It starts in Savage, and I'm in Savage, and I'm the only one not going on that tour. But I had to go to the Minnesota Valley Transit Authority board meeting, and we got two services there that are kind of cool. One's a pilot. Minnesota Valley Transit is doing a Connect project, a pilot project in Savage, where any Savage resident can call up and on the phone and be picked up in their house and taken anywhere in Savage, and certain locations in Burnsville to the transit hub and so forth. And then also Route 495 will be making 6 stops in Savage each day, 3 each way, beginning in September, and both of those are going to be advertised in the water bill. MVT is going to do an insert in the water bill. And it's just crazy. It's not a big deal. It was like $1,000, but had I not been at the board meeting, that advertisement, I worked through with MVTA and the city, and yes, that will be advertised in the water bill. But that's just one thing that wouldn't have happened had I not been there and at the tour on the river, which I really wanted to be at. But that's the end of my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Beard.
Madam Chair, John, it was Panera was so you didn't miss much. The dinner was Panera. Your favorite, I know.
I know, that's my favorite.
Any further questions or comments for Commissioner Ulrich's report? All right, moving on to my report. Friday, August 23rd, I attended a subcommittee of AMC and MAXA folks about Health and Human Services. We had some folks from DHS there really to talk about some of the new structures, some of the things that need to be changed. Really trying to make sure that as county folks, we have a good relationship with the department, with the new leaders there, however that all shakes out. On Monday, August 26th, I represented Scott County at our Minnesota Alliance for Healthy Families meeting. That's the group that receives grant money from DHS and the United Way to financially support home visiting programs in all our counties. So we approved the 2020 budget at that meeting. On Tuesday, August 27th, we had the chair vice chair meeting, and then later that day we had the joint workshop with Carver County. I also thought that went well, and we were more talkative, I agree. That afternoon, attended the Fish Outreach meeting in Jordan. It's the Fish Partner Relations Committee has been meeting in different towns each month, and it was well attended. I think there were 20 to 25 people from Jordan there, some already involved in fish and some people new to fish, so it was a very good meeting. And then later that afternoon, I attended the IWIG meeting. Thank you, Commissioner Beard. You must not have been available, so I got to go to that meeting. It was good to see our friends from Shakopee, Midwauken, and Sioux community, Prior Lake, and the county and Shakopee all working together on joint issues. Wednesday, August 28th, I met with several people, including representatives from the Sheriff's Office, about jail health care costs. On a national level, counties are really working hard at changing the statute that makes it so that people who go to jail, if they're already on medical assistance or Medicaid, they lose it. And then counties end up picking up those costs, which not only is that bad for us and we're picking up the costs, it tends to be bad for those individuals because then often there's a gap in them getting services when they're out of jail. We know that people who end up in jail, many of them have some significant health care issues, mental health issues. So just kind of preliminary gathering information here about how much that costs us, what our folks across the street at the jail think are the harmful results of that statute. So more to come on that. I think it's important. Affects us dollars and cents, but it also affects the health of those folks because they do get out of jail and need to get back to work and things like that. That evening, attended the Minnesota River Tour, very interesting. I think, it was great to see the economic importance of our part of the river. Great to see all the recreation going on, especially as we got towards St. Paul. So many people along the shores fishing and using the river. So it was a good tour. And then on Tuesday, September 3rd, I guess that's today, welcome new employees this morning. In between, the last 2 weeks have been filled with a lot of transportation issues. Of course, the new frontage road system at 169 and 41 opened and is in place for the Renaissance, but with anything, there's always a few snafus, a little bit of rain the first weekend to cause some problems. I think things are going much better there. And then continued work with constituents and residents out in Blakely Township on County Road 53, but I think we've got some good communication going on out there, and I think everybody involved is communicating, and it's a good plan to get that road in good shape. So that's the end of my report, and see now that we've passed the 9:30 mark, if it's okay, Leslie, we'll wait for your report till after the next item. Commissioner Beard.
Madam Chair, I move that we open the public hearing for resolution 2019-125.
Second.
Been moved and opened to open the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The public hearing is open. Danny Lentz presenting.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Let me see about switching. I just have a couple of comments, and then I'm going to be turning it over to Kathy Aho with Baker Tilly to give you the real information. So this item is to pledge the general obligation of Scott County to bonds being issued by the Scott County CDA. The proposal is to finance the development of a 59-unit housing development project for rental to low and moderate income seniors in the city of Jordan, to be known as the Brentwood Court 2 project. The bonds will be secured primarily by revenues from the project as well as funds provided by the CDA for the project. The county's backing is primarily designed in order to provide a lower interest rate on those bonds being issued by the CDA. But the county would be responsible for payment of those bonds if the CDA or the project failed to provide the revenue needed for that. So that's just important information for background. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kathy.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Here with the real story, I guess. But I just wanted to thank you for your earlier action on the refunding on behalf of the CDA. We're looking forward to helping them with that opportunity. As Danny mentioned, this is, the public hearing is regarding a second phase of Brentwood Court in Jordan, Minnesota. As you're probably familiar, there's also a library on that site, a clinic, a pharmacy, and it's kind of exciting to see this site develop. And we're here to talk this morning about that second phase. I'm going to turn it over to Paul Steinman from our office. He's one of the senior consultants there who's been working with me on this project.
Thank you, Kathy. Good morning, Commissioner. So Danny gave a good overview of the project. I'll just start with generally, this is a layperson translation of the resolution that's in your packet for the issues that you will be approving in that resolution when you consider the resolution. So firstly, approving the pledge of the county's general obligation for up to $13 million for this project in Jordan. Secondly, you're approving the pledge of the CDA's special benefits tax. And lastly, you're authorizing execution of a variety of documents, such as the trust indenture, in connection with this transaction. As was stated, this is for a project that consists of 59 units of senior housing. It's adjacent to Brentwood Court 1, which was constructed in 2012. It includes parking, and it's supported by net project revenues, net revenues of the project, and a contribution from the CDA annually. There's also an upfront cash contribution from the CDA, and we're here today requesting the county's general obligation support. This is an overview of the statutory guidelines, the statutory requirements regarding the GO support and this project. So the county has a statutory limit for issuing governmental housing bonds, and that is 0.50% of taxable market value. I have another slide that will detail that for you. The proceeds are to be used for qualified housing project, including this project, senior rental project. And each of the entities, the county and the CDA, conduct public hearings, and the CDA conducted their public hearing on the 13th of August. The term cannot exceed 35 years, and the project has to show that it can cover debt by 110%. This is an overview of your statutory housing debt limit. It is based upon your estimated market value, and it is 0.5% of your estimated market value. That is the limitation. The outstanding bonds apply against your limit, and they're listed here. Elko New Market, Brentwood Court 1 in Jordan, New Prague, 2 in Savage, and 3 projects in Shakopee, for a total outstanding amount of $37 million. So you are within the limit. These are some general cash flow assumptions that we used for the project. We're assuming that between the completion of the project, pre-leasing and occupying the project, that will be 2 years down the road from start of construction. It's the structure, the rent structure is similar to Brentwood Court 1, and we used expense assumptions from a different project in Shakopee, the Henderson. Bond interest rates are at the market as of August 7 plus 25 basis points, or 0.25%. That should be a bit better today than it was on August 7. The CDA contributes $1,250,000 up front, and they also make annual contributions of $200,000, which will increase when the Henderson or the RCC pledge on the Shakopee project expires. And the bonds are on parity with Brentwood Court 1. And a key cash flow assumption as well is that the county grants its general obligation pledge. This table overviews the types, number, and rent for the units that are in Brentwood Court 2. Again, there's 59 units. 8 studio units estimated to rent at $630 a month. 1-bedroom units, there's 25 of those at $805 a month. There are 12 1-bedroom plus den at $1,080 a month, and then 14 2-bedroom units proposed to rent at $1,240 a month. The estimated project budget. So the sources of funds equaling about $13,428,000 will fund construction and development costs, the first 2 line items under uses of funds, in the amount of about $12.3 million. And then there is a detailing below of costs associated with the financing as well. So if this isn't small enough, I can make it smaller. Primarily, the purpose of this slide is to establish that the project will cash flow based upon our assumptions. And if you can read the very lowest last line on the bottom, that shows you our estimation of debt service coverage with this project, and it meets the statutory requirement of 110%. And again, this is a combined cash flow with Brentwood 1 and Brentwood 2.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Sir, this pro forma you have here, how does it compare with what we proposed for the Henderson, which I think is a similar project? Because we had similar kind of cash flow coverages. Are we hitting those targets and doing okay there, and we anticipate this will be the same?
Commissioner, I may have to turn that question over to someone with more institutional knowledge about the Henderson. Kathy, if you don't mind.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Beard, when we do these projections, the 110 is the statutory threshold, and we generally like to target a little bit higher just to give a little bit of room. So these numbers are 116, 15, 12, 13, 13, 13, 14, 14, and so on. So that's probably where we'll be targeting on the day of sale as well, which is where we were for the Henderson also.
And
the CDA does track the performance of the projects against these first pro formas, and that all of the projects have been performing up to par. And as you all know, the CDA has never come back on a request for funds under that general obligation pledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I should note I saw Bill nodding enthusiastically yes in the audience, in case the mic didn't pick that up. Okay.
Should be spanning the room.
So these are the key events that are occurring throughout the process. On August 13th, the CDA had its public hearing and approved the resolution related to the project. On September 3rd, that's today, your consideration of the resolution granting Scott County's general obligation. On the 10th of September, CDA approves the financing documents, and we're aiming for a rating conference either that week or the week of the 16th. We have a pricing committee established to take action on the 2nd of October with proceeds received on October 24th. Those dates may move depending upon some other dates at the city. But that is the proposed schedule at this time. And we're happy to take questions.
Commissioner Beard.
Thank you. Maybe just one minor question. Can you go back to the slide where it's got the projects in our, yeah. So just a curiosity question of where was the Brentwood? Yeah, right there. The original one that we did on that one was 5, and this one's 13, right? Am I getting that right?
That's correct.
And so again, just curiosity, why the difference?
someone with institutional knowledge will answer that.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Beard, the amount that's up there is what is outstanding on that project, so some of the debt has been paid down, and I do not recall what the initial amount was. But most of what you see in terms of the difference there would be the bonds that have been paid off, and also the tremendous increase in construction costs over the last several years. It's been fairly substantial.
Other questions or comments? This is a public hearing. Is anyone here, if anyone here wants to comment on this project, please approach the podium. Any other comments or, Yanni, you're all done too? Okay.
Madam Chair, I'll move that we close the public hearing.
Thank you, thank you. It's been moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The public hearing is now closed. We have a request in front of us to adopt resolution number 2019-125.
Madam Chair, I will move that resolution number 2019-125.
Madam Chair, I'll second that motion.
Moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 2019-125. Any further discussion? Yes, Commissioner Beard.
Madam Chair, it was important that, that I asked that question and we get it answered for the public, general public, because although we have seen the history and the track record of working with the CDA, and they've always done good work and never let us down, I just wanted that comment on the public record that the pro formas from previous projects have been exceeded, and I anticipate this one will be as well, so I'm very comfortable supporting this resolution and the good work in Jordan.
Thank you for that comment. Other comments or questions? Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, folks, for the presentation. All right, we'll move on to number 9, County Administrator update.
Very briefly, remember on September 23rd, we're still finalizing our joint work session with the City of Savage in the City of Savage. And then just one other comment. The Star Tribune on the front page today had an article on the Minnesota River. So if you're interested, it talks a little bit about some of the things they're doing upstream and some of the water quality issues that you were just talking about as well. That's all I have today.
I have one question. Are we still on for September 16th for the groundbreaking for the ERTs?
Yes, we are. The groundbreaking for the ERTs is on September 16th.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right. Do we need to recess for attorney-client meeting?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we do not.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. Any further business to come before the board? After this meeting, we will be meet in a workshop to talk about the proposed 2020 capital improvement program and the proposed 2020 Scott County budget.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn this meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much.